Hi again then guys, and welcome to another circuit tune for a Group 3 race car in Gran Turismo Sport, and as you'll have probably seen from the thumbnail, this one is a little bit different, because usually I just put a fairly standard thumbnail and title on these videos because you know what you're going to get when it comes to a Group 3 car. This one genuinely shocked me. This was actually a suggested vehicle, and although I don't recall your username, doubtless you will comment down below, and thank you for the suggestion because it was an inspired choice, because I hear no chatter about this car whatsoever. Now, I'm sure there are people who love it in GT Sport, I'm sure there are plenty of people who represent Citroen with it and use it all the time, but I just don't hear people talking about the Citroen as much as they used to. In the days of Gran Turismo 5 and 6, people used to absolutely lose their mind for this car. In Gran Turismo 5, back when it was the LM race car, it was 10 million credits. In Gran Turismo 6, it was more expensive than a Sauber C9 or a Mazda 787B, 2.25 million. Now it's the cheapest it's ever been, and it's also the most deceptive it's ever been, because this car is not only faster than all of these other Group 3 cars that I've done so far, it is a full second quicker than the next fastest I've done so far, which is the BMW M6. Almost 2 seconds quicker than the Ferrari, 2 seconds quicker than the Corvette, and this is insane, a full 3 seconds quicker around Dragon Trail than my Aston Martin Vantage tune. Now, those aren't exactly slow cars. This is shockingly quick, and I have no doubt that there are probably quicker ones out there, especially with different people behind the wheel, but for me, that really did genuinely shock me, because when it comes to the Citroen, I kind of knew what I was in for. I've never been a huge fan of the way it handles. It's very temperamental. It goes from being very understeery to very oversteery. It's kind of weird, but I tell you what, it's worth it, because this thing is bonkers fast. Now, as far as the upgrades go, I've done that with stock power and stock weight, and of course the same reason as always, you can adjust it to whatever you want. You can increase the power, balance the performance stuff, whatever, wherever you can use it and still update the settings of the car rather than the power, that's where you can use this tune. And of course you can increase the power and drop the weight if you want to, and if the lobby will allow that. Now, as far as the tyres, once again, we've gone for racing hards, because if you can make the car good on hard tyres, it will, by definition, be even better on mediums and softs. Whereas if you rely on soft tyres and then have to go to hard tyres for some reason, which a lot of lobbies will force you to do, it could be awful. It could be trash. So that's why we've done that. As far as the brake balance, I haven't adjusted that. For the suspension, I would recommend lowering it to 5mm higher than the lowest setting, which is 55 in the front, 65 on the back. And of course, you can convert that pretty easily through Google to inches if you need to. For our American friends, as far as the frequency, I've got that on 3. Anti-roll on 6 for the front and the back. For the compression on the dampers, we've got 56 with 85 on the rebound, 1 degree of camber, front and rear, neutral toe on this one. As far as the downforce, of course, it is a grip tune predominantly, so we've got the highest settings there. And as I always say, if you take it on Le Mans or anywhere like that where you need more top-end acceleration and top speed, you can just lower that. That's the whole point, you can adjust it as you need to. As far as the diff, it's got some pretty intense settings, 20 for initial torque and then the full 60 for both acceleration and braking. That works perfectly for my driving style. It's fairly heavy entering the corner, and I will say, surprisingly good at exiting corners. You can give this car a lot of throttle out of a corner, and it has a ton of grip. And again, that's on hard tyres. Now, as far as the gearbox, finally, of course you will want to adjust this if you give it more or less power. But as far as the individual settings go, with obviously the fully customised transmission, I'd recommend an auto setting of 186 miles per hour, then individual gears of 3.45, 2475, 1925, 1575, 1350, 1.2, and 1075, with a final drive of 3.55. Now, it's predominantly a 6-speed setup. You can get it pretty easily up around 170, 180 in 6th gear, so you don't really need 7th. Again, that's for if you have more power or if you lower the downforce. So, of course, there's a ton of room for personal variation if you want to do it, but to show you what this monster can do, of course, let's take it out to the track. So, as I said, this car genuinely shocked me by how quick it was. I knew it would be quick, because at the end of the day, all Group 3 cars are quick. By definition, they're race cars. but this one shocked me because of just how quick it is. And it is really strange how you come across certain cars that feel really fast, and then they're not. And then you have other cars that don't really feel that impressive, and then the lap time shocks you. The first time I really noticed that in Gran Turismo was actually in GT4, where I tested all of the Le Mans prototypes around Midfield Raceway and found, to my surprise, that the Jaguar XJR9 was the quickest of all of them, at least with me behind the wheel. That really shocked me because it's such an underwhelming car through corners. This is kind of like that in this game. So much quicker than the other Group 3 tunes that I've done so far. And although of course we have a couple that are still technically quicker, those tunes were with more power that I did way back in the day, such as the Porsche RSR and the Group 3 Beetle. But again, they don't really apply because they had like 700 horsepower, not a fair comparison to make. However, on equal footing with these tunes that I've done over the past few weeks, for the M6, the Corvette, the Ferrari, and the Aston, I think that's all of the ones that I've done so far, this is the quickest of them all, and it's the margin. The margin is so wide between them. A second may not seem like a huge amount, but it really is. Around a track that only takes a minute and a half, every second really does matter. So if you haven't given the Citroen a go, or maybe you found the handling too strange, I would urge you to try this tune. You might just find it turns into your best Group 3 car. But of course, we'll be testing others, tuning others, so stick around on the channel for more and click here on screen to check out all of my other tunes as well. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.